Morning. It's Tuesday, May 18th. And yesterday was Monday, May 17th, obviously. But it was also the day that you were supposed to file your income taxes. The income tax deadline was extended because of the pandemic. So because of what was going on this year, other changes that were associated with your taxes. There are plenty of new and revised provisions and important dates that you need to know about. I'm probably going to tell you these things it's too late for you to do much about it since it's past the deadline, but it's interesting to take a look and see what's happened and what's involved with your taxes this year, and maybe it'll help somebody somewhere. Why was the date changed? Well, that's pretty obvious if you think about it, because that gives people a chance to file. But let's not forget that the IRS had a lot of additional work to do with managing the rescue packages that were created. Sending out stimulus checks and other relief situations that fell on the IRS means that they really couldn't get ready to handle all the tax returns if they were filed on April 15th. So that's pretty much the reason why we all got this extension. Now, if for some reason you're still late, there is something that exists in your favor. It has created something that is called a first-time penalty, and you may get some relief from a first-time penalty. 3 states, Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana, have a June 15th federal tax filing date because of the storms that occurred over the winter in those 3 states. States also extended their tax filing date. New York did, and so did many others, so that we don't have to worry about that. And as usual, no 2 states did the same thing. We have states that extended their deadlines from April 20th to July 15th. So you should check if you don't live in New York. New York is May 17th. If you're filing from Florida or something like that, you better check and see that the date is right for your state taxes. Now, Louisiana had a double standard. The deadline is May 17th for their state taxes, but if you lived in a federally declared disaster area, you have an extension until June 15th. So you see, there are a lot of different dates that we had to deal with, and hopefully everybody knows what the hell they're doing, but I doubt it. Now, a good thing that happened is that if you happen to be making contributions to your IRA or health savings account, you get an extension till May 17th to do that also. So hopefully that helps people, but probably there are a lot of people who are out of work because of the pandemic, and maybe they didn't even make enough money to make contributions to these health savings accounts. Or maybe the money that they're getting in the stimulus packages is going directly into their IRAs and health savings accounts. So I don't know what people are doing in those situations since I don't do that anymore. But hopefully people know what they're doing and they're doing the correct thing with their money and their savings. And it looks to me like that's what's going on because people can't go out and do too many other things, or they couldn't go out and do too many other things. So maybe they're socking this money away for the future. Here's something very interesting. If you owe money, you have to pay it, even if you got an extension to, say, October 15th, which is the normal extension date. But if you owe money, you have to pay the money before you really file your taxes. I didn't know that. I never heard of it before. So there's some interesting things I learned. Here's something that's important. If you expect to get a refund and you take an extension, you're not getting that refund until after you file. That makes perfectly good sense to me, so I hope you're thinking about all those things, or you have thought about them because it's past the deadline at this point. It's interesting looking at what is happening out there in the real world, since I consider my world different than the real world because I'm not working. Now, the IRS has become pretty efficient. Typically, refunds are issued within 21 days of the filing if you have filed electronic. But there's a big backlog this year, so maybe it'll take a little longer to get your refund because they're processing a lot of returns from 2019 and 2020, and there were more than 29 million returns being held for manual processing. That's kind of crazy. IRS is taking longer to handle paper returns. So if you don't file electronically, then that slows the process down too. Now, if you have an error on your return, then that takes another 14 days or something to process. So it's a lot of little things that you must understand about the processing of your taxes. Good piece of news, stimulus payments are not taxable. The money is tax-free. There are some people who haven't gotten any refunds because they didn't file any taxes in 2019 or 2018 or whatever. They can get that money if they go and claim a refundable recovery rebate credit. I don't know how many people know about that. This is the first I heard of it, so if you haven't heard about that, that's something that you can do. That's a refundable recovery rebate credit. Now, that credit reduces your tax liability, or maybe you actually get cash. I don't know. You know, some people were getting unemployment insurance benefits, and those are taxed after $10,200. So anything above $10,200 becomes taxable, and that a lot of it depends upon what your household income is. So you have to check and see if you really owe taxes on your unemployment insurance benefits. With everything else that goes on in this country, different states have different rules about what's considered income. So in many states, unemployment insurance benefits are taxed. And in other states, they're not taxed. So it just depends on where you live. You have to check that out on your own. But if your income was very, very low because you weren't really working, then you don't really have to worry about much of this because you're probably not going to have to pay any taxes at all. Now, if students got any pandemic-related emergency relief money, they do not have to include that money in their gross income calculation. So if you're a working student and you've got some money and then you get a stimulus check, that doesn't count as long as you're a student. So that's pretty much everything that I was able to gather out of this article. And that's probably too late to help a lot of us. And many of us in our universe have no reason to know a lot of these things. I really didn't pay much attention to this whole tax situation. I gave the accountant the numbers, and we filed early, and we let IRS do their thing, and that's the end of it. So I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye.